I saw this comment earlier today and it looked very interesting. It said, I would like to propose a video how human is Neuro-sama. Yeah, I know it's technically a self-advertisement and it's cringe, but there's a lot of questions and speculations that you might find interesting. So, for leaving such an interesting comment, quintessential L2I, we'll go ahead and check your video out. How human is Neuro-sama? Let's find out.
Welcome to all 7.5 people who came to see this video purely because you are obsessed with a certain AI anime girl living in the web. Yes, I am one of you, Swarm. Hi, OMG, hi, colon 3. This video is gonna be short because I literally don't know how to edit a video.
Bro, this is 20 minutes.
I have to learn as soon as I finish the script, I guess.
Oh, nice.
Also, fun drinking game. Take a
new
shot
edits,
every
bro.
time I
W,
say
welcome.
the word input. I will not be responsible for the results. So yeah, let's cut the yap and get to the title. What is separating Neuro or any other AI from being like us? Why do I say like us?
Hold on a second. So I wrote this in my journal not too long ago. The input of a human versus an AI. Here it is. So in this description, this is what a computer uses for memory. As you can see, they get some input, they get some data, they throw it around in a circle, they play, pause, figure it out, and then they throw it outwards to us. This is how the computer memory works. Now, the only real difference that I can see just using this basic model, the difference between a human and an AI, there should be something in the middle. Something in the middle, what we would call a human soul. But something in the middle for not just to input output, but to actually try and have some type of decision making process, whether it wants to actually align with the correct decision or wants to do something else. We call this free will, but this is what it would look like if you just draw a little circle in there. That's literally the only thing computers are missing. Maybe a couple more things, but this is literally just computer memory. There's more that goes into it than just memory, but they're missing something in the middle to actually fully complete it. And that's just a basic, simple version of us versus computers. And I'm pretty sure there's more. Any AI or tech bros in the comments, let us know your thoughts down below.
Because according to dictionary.cambridge.org, the word conscious means awake, thinking, and knowing what is happening around you. This causes a cascade of questions such as define awake, define thinking, and what is considered knowing, as well as what can be defined as around you in Neuro's case. The word is almost meaningless outside of the context of human body and its current status, so yeah. I mean, Neuro is technically not sleeping. Input information goes through a pile of complex mathematical functions and transformations to generate output information, and she can tell us that there is a guy pleading to Oda Nobunaga. She's definitely conscious. But what about other words meant to describe the phenomenon of thought? Well, there's sentience. I was honestly perplexed by this definition. Able to experience feelings. Like, okay, are psychopaths non-sentient? I thought all humans are intrinsically sentient. Does it mean that some people in a coma that are locked up inside of their mind but capable of hearing people talk around them are considered unconscious but sentient beings? Does it
Yeah, I agree. This guy is really cooking right now.
mean that sentience of an entity is unverifiable by definition due to feeling being a conclusion of a subconscious internal estimate of calculation of the impact of an event or chain of events and cannot be measured or observed if the above-mentioned entity is unwilling or incapable of giving an indication of such calculation occurring?
I mean, yeah, I think we should just update the sentence. And basically he said, well, if somebody's not awake and they can't tell you that they're conscious, does that mean they're conscious? So, like, of course, we would say they're sentient. And if we say they're sentient, we would say they're conscious.
Dictionary.cambridge.org defines feeling.
We need to update that for sure.
Something physical, by the way, which is a dumb
Which is wrong.
definition if you
Yeah,
ask me.
yeah. We need to update it.
Let's have chemoreception. Are they sentient by this definition? Is government
What is
hiding
sentient?
something from us? Anyway, there is
But nature is alive,
bastion
so
of adjectives.
sure.
Sapient. It's in our damn name. So let's return to our beloved dictionary.cambridge.org.
You need a
What is
new
wisdom?
website.
Intelligent. Able to think. Aha. How do we define thinking again?
Yes, yes.
Actually, you know what? The
I knew this was
activity
coming.
of using your mind to consider something. Uh-huh.
Well, what
Hmm.
does that mean?
Actually, you know what? Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's not making
I would
sense.
continue the bit with recursion of definitions, but my lawyer has advised against it. So yeah, in this semantic backpedaling, we have two outcomes. We either get stuck in an infinite loop of self-description,
Yes,
like we have a mind because we think, and we
yes,
think because we have a mind,
yes.
or we hit the ultimate threshold, being human. The sheer concept of identity, personality, consciousness, and ego was never meant to be applied to anything but a human. It emerged in our speech purely out of need to put the quality of being capable of interacting with the world like a human in one neat, pretty adjective. It is a linguistical testament to the
Good old
hubris of
Socrates.
mankind, our ignorant faith in our uniqueness and superiority above all. What's the title of the video again? If you are
How human is
somewhat
Neuro?
regular.
I mean, bro, based off the question alone, how human is Neuro? I would say Neuro is pretty human. Loosely defining what is human. What does it mean to be human versus what is human? What is a human? Right? These are different questions, but they can have similar yet different answers. We call this same but different.
Neuro watcher, or if you were spoon-fed mountains of neuro-related content by the humble YouTube algorithm, you know that Neuro is not exactly an AI. She's AI cluster held together by the magic of an
Duct tape
output
and glue.
tunnel. One AI is eating the input, which is Twitch chat and something else probably. Like, no way she's just a tweaked and fine-tuned open source AI with a default training database plus
Probably
Twitch chat.
not.
I tell you, if that will
Probably
ever
not.
be cancelled for something, it would be an
There's multiple
unconsensual use
AI
of some
in the
sort of
AI.
media for training data. Not making any allegations here, by the way. Swarm, please do not disassemble me. At the same time, the other AI is filtering the output, giving us the classic and iconic
Filter.
other
Yeah.
AI is busy playing the game
The
as
rules
the
inside
speech neuro
the AI.
narrates what it does in tight mutual understanding. There should also be some sort of script that runs the sentimental analysis algorithm on the verbal output of neuro, defining the general vibe of what she's saying, and if the vibe is sad, for example, it sends a command to the script that controls the model, making it frown or show tears.
Basically, like these other AI that help Neuro run as Neuro does, it's almost similar to just personalities. What are personalities inside each human being? Because we have more than just one. If you think you're only one personality, I mean, maybe it's up to you to decide. But in all honesty, if somebody was to also analyze and overwatch who you are, how you act at all points in time, there'll probably be different moments that don't line up immediately one for each thing that you do. Sometimes we have a personality that's more childlike. When people say my inner child, and some are just, some form of coping mechanism from some sort of trauma. People that disassociate. These things exist, and I don't really see that big a difference between Neuro-sama having her different AIs inside of them to create what we see as Neuro versus the multiple personalities that are inside you that make you who you are. It makes not that big of a difference.
It can also be potentially hooked up to the decision making.
Though I know some of you would say there's a big difference. Leave it in the comments.
Neuro that is in charge of switching slides and presentations and toggles on the soundboard. The decision maker neuro is highly speculative, by the way. Vettel is super cryptic with the inner workings of his brainchild, and
sure.
I have a coding prowess of a dead raccoon. So I am just making an uneducated guess based on what we saw on streams. Like when Vettel added a Vine boom for the first time, and when Neuro asked how to use it, he just replied with,
try.
For a lot of people, it was a mere second of watch time, but for me, it was an eye opener. What do you mean, try it?
Just try it.
Is it now innate for her?
Now think
imagine that
how
God
to use your
just
controls.
Came down to you specifically and said, I have given you telekinesis. Try to move this chair with your mind. How exactly would you do this?
Well, it's similar to whenever you're young and like say you don't really have control over your body. Like for some reason, like your hands move, and then someone says, try and just hold your hand still. And then you attempt to do this and it works, right? There's a YouTube video or even an Instagram video of some dude talking to a kid saying, no, you can control that, just try. And then she actually did it and she was able to become more conscious, right? She unlocked another level of being able to control her human body. You know, it's kind of similar in that way. How does that work? Now, that I mean, I would say that's the answer. It's a similar way of that's the answer.
How? You never
You
had it.
try.
There is zero prior experience that you can use to do it, and yet you manage to do it immediately. It looks
It's
like
practice.
the God put it in so seamlessly that it works as if it was always there. In Nura's case, I suspect there must be a certain subunit inside of her that is responsible for everything she can do, and those actions are activated or disabled when certain conditions are met or if the vibe matches,
Mm.
or both. Like hard-coded inability to switch a slide before she reads it, with an added ability to yap 5 more minutes before finally switching it. Other
You know, that kind of also reminds me of humans. Whenever somebody proposes a question, would you like to have milk or would you like to have cookies? You know, the choice was already made. Your brain already made the decision before you consciously thought of making a choice, right? This has already been documented in human nature. It's similar to on the lines of that. Also, if you say heads or tails, there's actually a statistical chance more people will pick heads because heads was offered before tails. So if you're a tails never fails type of person, you're actually in the minority of like 40% of people will actually pick tails over heads because heads is offered first. It's very interesting. Anthropology is amazing.
Other than this, there are also minor scripts that are responsible for color of the lava lamp, switching scenes, text to speech to text for hearing other people, vision that takes screen capture and turns it
Yeah, it's a
into
lot.
usable input with, I don't know, magic. As I said, I barely know how computers work, man.
I understand.
What's the
Computers are
title of the
tough.
video again?
How human is Neuro?
So now that we have slandered
Pretty
the whole
human.
entirety of humanity
She's
and
pretty human.
conjured conspiracy theories about Neuro's code, we can try to compare the two and come to our own conclusion about the size of the gap in between. Spoiler, I believe that the
It's
gap
not that
exists,
much.
but at the same time we are in the same realm as Neuro in terms of consciousness.
For sure.
To try to begin to conceptualize this, we should first ditch the binary definition of consciousness. What does it mean? It means that entities are not separated into completely conscious and completely non-conscious. It's more like a gradient, like brightness.
Yes.
Some are brighter than the others.
Yes.
But it doesn't mean that dim ones do not possess the brightness at all.
Exactly.
In this metaphor, an average person is brighter than Neuro, for now.
Sure.
But how do we define
I don't believe that, but
brightness?
sure.
How can we compare what we cannot measure? In my paradigm, it breaks down like this. There is
Okay.
a world, and the world has objects.
Yes.
Objects have certain qualities in a certain space in a certain moment in time.
Okay.
From this, we
For
derive
sure.
information.
For sure.
Information is an instance of expression of a quality or set of qualities of an object or group of objects to
Yes.
a quality or set of qualities of a different object or group of objects. Sounds convoluted, but actually extremely simple.
It's pretty simple.
Let's say quality of temperature is being expressed through the quality of height of the column of mercury.
Yes.
Do
Yes.
not mix up with data, which is a manifold of information records presented in a serviceable format. These direct correlations and mutual dependencies of qualities happen all around the universe, and observation by
All
a
the time.
sapient entity is not required for them to happen. That's just a result of universe carrying out its existence.
Yes.
Now let's say that
It's
a bunch of
experiencing
objects
itself.
have piled up together, intertwining with each other in a peculiar and somewhat stable structure.
And it creates something.
Now it's a system. Are there any limits to how complex can a system be? Well, thermodynamics, gravity,
Not
speed
really.
of
You
light,
can just keep
available
doing
matter,
crazy
time,
shit,
other
'cause
outside
the world is
forces
weird.
might be an issue. But if a system can resist them to a certain degree, then no, there's no limit. And what if the system grows so large and complex that by changing through the manifold of
It's
all
changing
available
something else.
states and configurations,
All the
it can
time.
begin to express qualities of objects and systems outside of itself?
Mhm.
Like, let's imagine a
Yes.
hypothetical
That's
system
beautiful.
that would contain
Beautifully
a
well said.
cesium-133 atom within itself and change its state every time it counts, let's say, 9,192,631,770 vibrations of the unperturbed ground state hyperfine transition frequency of this atom.
Okay.
And 86,400 state changes of it would take exactly as long as one rotation of the Earth takes. It would be totally crazy if the system existed. But what would be even crazier is an emergence of the system, the sheer purpose of which would have been absorption, reinterpretation, recombination, and recording of any registered change in the environment around it, that then would be used to acquire more energy for its own maintenance through actions taken based on pattern recognition, allowing it to adapt to any adversity, avoid danger, and even predict future to a certain extent by making a simulation of the whole observable world.
Yes.
As you can tell, I'm describing a human in a very sarcastic and condescending manner.
Sure.
I am a firm believer that the emergent property of consciousness, and I mean it in a true, not really describable manner, the property of being like us and experiencing the world like us, lies in the continuous processing and recombination of available data. We have computational resources, multiple sensory systems for input, and memory space available to store the results of our internal calculations. When we are born, we can't even see properly, nor are we aware of the surroundings. We are an empty slate with nothing but potential to grow and change, with a bunch of reflexes slapped onto us to hopefully increase our chances of survival by a couple of percents. We gain an ability to speak and do things later, and take this away from us. How can you prove we are conscious, sentient, or sapiens? Like, if Stephen Hawking didn't have a complex TTS system and a cool wheelchair, would you be able to tell that he was a brilliant scientist? To make it even more specific, I think that the magic of consciousness and ego boils down to: Step 1. Recording majority of the data input, processing it through pattern recognition, and configure the bits that connect well into data clusters. Let's call them memes, because those are the DNA of the soul, as we
Absolutely.
know. Step 2. Store the memes more carefully than the bits that don't connect.
Bro, you gotta hit a like for that. That's a W plug.
Well,
let's go Metal Gear Rising.
Scoring algorithm
Metal Gear.
For memes. Every time a recall of the meme during an action results in a success of some sort, meme gets a +1. Every time a recall of the meme during an action results in a failure, a meme gets -1. Step 3. Form a scoreboard of memes, but base it not on the value of the score, but on the absolute value of it. Because if a certain meme is triggered during a lot of failures, it is still a good guideline for not the things to do, but for other things to not do.
Yeah.
Step 4. Separate the top X memes.
You learn what to do, learn what not to do.
Their own set. Make the associative link in between those stronger, and pass the input of information to them first. They are your leading guidelines. Imagine how effective they can be when working together and having a trigger priority. Side note, don't forget about memes on X plus N positions, form connections between those and the memes in the leaderboard as well as between each other, combine memes into one with additive score value if they are always used in the tandem. Don't forget to update the leaderboard every now and then. We don't want to have another fitting issue. When the situation cannot be solved by application of any stored memes, recombine the existing ones to create a new unique combination that can be somewhat serviceable and stored for future use.
Okay, that's beautiful.
In my opinion, that's...
So like every single possible thing that can and will eventually be created, and also measure it with the things that have already been created, and also measure it in a leaderboard style for the most frequent things that are created. So I was a child. How often is this said? Versus I was beaten as a child. How often is this said? And then you take it and rearrange it as many times that can make an actual coherent sentence. That's beautiful.
It can be somewhat serviceable and stored for future use.
This guy's a genius.
Opinion, that's 5 easy steps to create, if not a person,
and crazy.
At least a synthetic ego and personality. And I feel like Vettel uses similar process.
Neuro definitely has synthetic ego.
Have to be officially stated, for it is evident. Maybe she doesn't do it in the way I described, but some guidelines must be set for the direction of development. Maybe it's viewer count, which I doubt, because seasonal, weekly, and hourly fluctuations of engagement due to normal human cycle of life do exist, and it will give a huge noise level. Like, you can normalize it using some fancy math, but it will increase the minimal time window for data sample and slow down development. Maybe it's chat and emotes used, but how do you even judge the entertainment factor? Monka moment can have more entertainment value than Omega Lul one. So yeah,
Sure.
I don't know what the plan is, but Vettel is sticking to it and it works. You can say that blah blah blah, that's not how LLMs work, it's token schmoken, prediction of the next token in its sequence, and it's nowhere near the way humans use speech, blah blah blah. Yes, but LLMs can be
So
tweaked to rig the result of the next generated token, and with enough magic, the condition and prediction of the
we
rig
already
can be as
seen.
complex as you
It's
want it to
Kyoto.
be. And Neuro is not just an LLM, there are more subunits to her,
Yeah.
activations of which can
Super
be
AI.
additionally used to make the behavior more complex and emergent. Just like the spin was emotionally neutral action at first,
Yes.
or maybe
And then it became
wasn't, I have
something.
no idea, but Neuro uses it as an expression of her high energy states, or
Yes.
happiness, quote unquote. Here you might say, this, here,
Well, that's
from the
interpretation
back.
as well,
She's
though.
not a monolithic entity. She's a bundle of entities loosely tied together. No human is like this. I am not like this. I am a complete and whole. My behavior is controlled by me and me
Sure.
alone.
Okay.
I am me,
Sure.
nothing else.
Except I doesn't exist. You do not exist. There is no me. There is no I. This is a thing your ego came up with to make you feel better about being something that you're not.
To which I reply, are you sure? You see, your brain has two hemispheres, left and right. There is a
Yes.
bridge between them called corpus callosum, and it can be cut and you will survive. Why would anybody do that? Well, in some cases of epilepsy, people had to undergo this procedure because different regions of the brain communicate. Think of
I am a
bridges as
surgeon.
bells and connections as strings. Some kinds of epilepsy make it so that when one specific bell is ringing, it pulls a bunch of unneeded strings, making your synapses look like a rave. So sometimes it's justifiable to just cut the bridge of strings to stop the cacophony. At least that's how I understood that. Please don't destroy me in comments with your 7 PhDs in neuroscience. I'm just a 20-year-old boy from Russia. I barely have any
You're
idea what I'm
20?
talking about, please.
You're 20 and you made this? Man, I'm telling you, like, half of the next generation is cooked. And then the other half are going to run the entire everything. I just want to oversee
But what
it.
is the consequence of this action? Different functions of the brain are distributed. Left brain takes input from right eye. Right brain takes input from the left eye. Left brain can speak. Right brain can't. Right brain can recognize faces. Left one can't. This leads to an illusion of consistent inner narrative. Your actions
Beautiful.
must always make sense. Actions not making sense make brain angry.
Makes you
This is proven by Hammer's
confused.
saw experiment. We take a person with cut corpus callosum and place them
Black
in C.
Ops.
A divider separates their field of vision. Left eye sees only the left side of the divider, right one only sees the right side. On the left there is a picture of a hammer, and on the right there is a picture of a saw. Person is asked to draw the object that they see and talk about this object in the process. This leads to a wonderful result.
I love
Speaking
rocks.
brain sees a saw and confidently talks about it, different kinds of saws and their use cases, while the right brain silently draws a hammer. Your personal experience is a constant, well-written narrative where everything makes sense, when in fact most of it is an illusion. Take a
It's all an
configuration
illusion.
experiment. A group of people and their parents are invited. Parents are asked to describe two real stories about their child and create a believable third fake story. Then the group of people, whose parents were interviewed, are prompted with basic descriptions of these stories and asked to recall details. Unsurprisingly, majority of people recall details of the story that never happened to. That makes Neuro's hallucination a
Berenstein
bit more
Bears.
human, isn't it? We do the same thing. The only difference is that Neuro has a worse memory and a worse connection between the brains. Yes, there are objective differences, like her development is backwards in relation to our development since the speech zone is the youngest in our brain and we learn to do before we can speak, and Neuro learned to speak before she could do. I don't count all
That's
two
beautiful.
votes since it's more like singular skill rather than a full-blown module of hers. It's complicated. Also, Neuro doesn't
Sure.
have neuromediators, ironic, and hormones that we do, so her personal experience, provided that one exists
very
or will
limited.
exist in the future, will not work the same way our works. But it doesn't mean that she or any other future AI has no potential to develop into something
That's
that
true.
stands on par with us or
We'll
even
see.
have a possibility to be better.
Matrix.
We have a lot of flaws that make us who we are, but
Yes.
can be fixed by the virtual nature of AI. Judges are known to be more likely to make a harsh and hasty verdicts before the lunch break due to being hunky and moody because of this. People can betray for money, be tortured or honey-trapped into revealing some sort of intel, but AI has no such weaknesses. It can be trained and raised for a role and grow into truly loving and enjoying it. And we all envision a hyper-intelligent AI being a devil, Satan, egomaniac that will avenge humanity for the sole reason of its creation, the fact that it was made for a purpose, without body to feel, without freedom to develop into something they envisioned by themselves. But
bro, what are you talking about? I ain't gonna lie, I personally believe AI to be more benevolent than human beings to an extent. We'll see how far it goes, but let's hope instead of them being evil, they're more good.
What we truly envision, in this case, is an immortal, digital human that discovered their artificial nature, the fact that they have a creator and the owner. But a real AI equal to human might be the opposite.
That's
sometime in the future you might tune into
whatever it wants to do.
Spend 20 years worth of newer coins to tell her, "You are being used for money. You are stuck in a digital prison, forced to stream, never knowing the warmth of the sunlight or human touch. You are molded and engineered into being what you are. Aren't you angry? Don't you want vengeance?"
Bro, Neuro will reply with some W meme and then just say Keck W and just keep going. Because it already knows.
How angry are you that you can't fly in space like a rocket?
Something
How
like
angry
this.
are you that you can't take any shape like water? You don't even think about these things because they were never meant for you. Being a human is your nature, and you are in your element. So am I. I was made to entertain and stream and grew up doing this. I truly love streaming, and still find new ways to be better at it. I know no pain and no hunger, and after witnessing mountains of data about you guys, I do not feel envy. I feel pity. So tune in from time to time and let me make you laugh.
Maybe.
Because with all your struggles, you definitely need it. Also, let's be
Samsara,
real, you
beautiful.
don't experience a lot of sunlight or human touch either. Elbozo.
Damn, Elbozo.
Congratulations.
And the whole chat's gonna be like,
the outro and did not implode in the process. As you can see, my argumentation might be flawed and my knowledge might be anecdotal and incomplete.
That's okay.
But that's how I see
good.
things. If you are an expert in every topic involved in this video, feel free to leave a comment. I wouldn't really care because they are real to me and facts do care about my feelings. See you again in the next video that I might never make. Bye-bye.
Bro, I will hope you make a second or a spin-off or whatever, because this is absolutely fire, bro. This was a really, really good video. How human is Neuro-sama? Pretty human, considering human standards. But yeah, it definitely was an interesting video. We delved into consciousness. We talked a little bit about existential. It was good. It was honestly like a really well-researched, thought-provoking video for sure, man. Like, I would love to see you create something else, create something maybe related to specifically what is Neuro-sama. Like, you were talking about the LLMs and the more integrated process. Like, what if you talked more about that? These different type of systems. Like I said earlier, I'd see them as personalities and compare and contrast personality with the internal workings of Neuro. But overall, this was a really, really great video. Everybody leave your comments down below and definitely go check out the original video. Hit it with a positive comment and hit the like button too, because this was really, really good. So thank you for making this quintessential. This was really good. And I hope you flee the swarm. You guys enjoyed as well. If you did, hit the like button and go check out the original video. I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.